everyone. Welcome to today's Thought Leadership Thursday. I'm here today with the CEO of Icon Foods. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Lynn. How are you?
I'm
Thanks for hosting me on this.
yeah, I'm good. And you are actually here in Portland, aren't you?
Yep, just down the road.
Yeah, tell me
We're
a
in
little
Gresham.
bit more about Icon Foods and what do you do over there?
My role is CEO, but I'm also chief food scientist. We are an ingredient supplier of sweeteners, sweetening systems, fibers, high intensity sweeteners, sweetness modulators in and inclusions. And so our primary focus is clean label sugar reduction. So anything in baked goods, bars, beverages, and confectionery, we supply ingredients and coach people on how to lower their added sugars naturally.
So, correct me if I'm wrong. You are definitely an expert in keto systems, low sugar system, low carb systems. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say that that's definitely my expertise. Like I wrote a book on keto. I follow keto. I'm a pretty big biohacker. So I do a lot of self-experimenting with blood sugar, GLP-1 agonists, peptides, things like that. Just, because I sort of thrive in creativity and science. And so that sort of fulfills my need for both.
So, can I ask you a question on
Sure.
why are you so into keto?
Um, yeah, that's a great question. Well, I would have to say that I'm definitely into keto, but I would say I'm more into like things that impact metabolic disease. And keto just happens to be one of those things that makes a big impact. Um, and then like metabolic disease, which is just going to be like diabetes and obesity and diabetes. Those things are huge contributors to, poor health, loss of limb, nerve damage, neurodegenerative disease. So
Did
my,
you read the book by Outlive by Dr. Attia? I think it's called
oh,
Outlive.
Peter Attia.
Yeah, Peter
Yeah,
Attia.
I've read
Yeah.
it probably two or three
Oh my
times
gosh,
and
that is
listened
such
to
a
it.
life-changing book for me. I mean, it's like take care of your metabolic health right now. Like
Uh,
put that in place.
I 100% agree with them. I'm a big fan of Peter Attia's. I thought his book was really, really amazing. And he had a couple things in his book that I struggle with. One of them is getting enough protein. Like for
Yeah.
my size, he suggests that I get 200 grams of protein per day. And I am unsure how to get there, but I'm working on it. I'm working on it. A lot
I
of
can't
whey
even get
protein.
there.
Yeah, and then he
My
also
carbs is
recommends,
so much, my protein is
yeah.
so little.
Yeah, and also his fiber too. He suggests that we get 50 grams of fiber a day, and that's another one that I struggle with. And I eat quite a bit of fiber. Like I supplement with fiber. I also eat a lot of vegetables, and I'm trying to eat more meat.
You know what? I think as the boomers age, as the X's age, I think we're really heading towards that trend of lesser carbs, more fiber and more protein. It might not be today, but eventually, we're heading that direction. And as we understand a little bit more about these metabolic diseases,
Hmm.
that's where your work comes in. That's important. I want to talk
Hmm.
about, um, low impact sweeteners, things that don't impact our insulin response,
Hmm.
right? So, what have you done in this area that has really helped with, what happens when we take away sugar?
Hmm.
It tastes terrible, especially baked products,
Right.
especially these cupcakes behind me, right? What what is revolutionary in this field?
Well, I'm not sure that there's anything that's revolutionary at this point. It could be from other people's perspective, but I'm usually like 3 or 4 years ahead, because like running the company, I'm trying to, as they say, skate to where the puck is going. So I'm constantly trying to innovate. I would say that my go-to in baked in any kind of baked good formula that I do, and I'd like to also precursor this with baked goods is not my forte. So that's your forte. To me, baked goods is just too much alchemy going on, and
Yeah, but I don't know sweeteners like you know sweeteners though.
that
You're the
that's
sweetener king.
that's fair. I mean, in baked goods, though, I think allulose has been, from my perspective, very useful because it participates in Maillard. It will give you browning. The only downside to allulose is that it burns rather quickly, so you have to lower your cook temperature and your cook time. But you can also offset that. Like I use a little bit of erythritol in combination with allulose that really helps suppress that burning quite a bit. And it gives you it sort of more replicates what sugar does. It's not going to totally replicate what sugar does, but to get that to happen, like I generally will use fibers too. And so like I'll use a combination of like soluble tapioca fiber with inulin, and it will enhance the amount of sort of humectancy and gelling that really makes baked goods have that tremendous mouthfeel
Right.
while activating leavening.
Yeah, that's true. Are there the sweeteners out there that is, effective in keto and low sugar systems?
Yeah, definitely. I mean allulose is super effective, and there was a study done a few years ago about allulose actually acting as a GLP one agonist, and a GLP one agonist would be like these peptides that people are taking, like uh, um, semaglutide and tirzepatide. I think that it's Ozempic and Wegovy, like these things that are I mean, what they do is they trigger your brain to feel like it's uh satiated, so you lose your appetite. But what's interesting is it also affects blood sugar levels. So I did sort of an experiment for a customer, must have been like 5 years ago, where we made ice cream with caramel topping. And the sweetener that I used was allulose, and then I used a little bit of monk fruit and stevia to bring it to parity. And so we pulled blood, took blood sugar before, and then pulled blood sugar after, and after eating it, our blood sugar actually went down. And I was always very curious about, well, how did that work? Is it residual enzymes? And I mean, really what it is it functions as one of these peptides. It functions as a GLP-1 agonist to suppress appetite and actually lower blood sugar levels. So
Interesting.
yeah,
Wow.
and I mean, I wear a continual glucose monitor, so any kind of formulas that I've worked on in the lab, I'll actually consume them
Test
and then
it.
check my blood sugar level. I mean, it's a lot of people think it's crazy. It probably is. I don't know, but I like to do it because if
If
I'm
I'm passionate about something, I would do that too.
yeah, if I'm formulating something and I'm telling these
Yep.
people like, hey, this isn't going to affect blood sugar levels, and you'll be able to tell this to the consumer, I mean, it's going to be anecdotal just by me doing it, but I think that it's enough to show that, hey, this didn't affect my blood sugar. If you want to run a panel of folks with continual glucose monitors, do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've heard about this particular sweetener
Mhm.
called thaumatin. Can
Yes.
you tell us what thaumatin is?
So thaumatin is a protein-based sweetener. Typically, thaumatin is derived from a camphor berry, which is found in West Africa. Um, I mean, there are a few different companies, and we're also working on a project ourselves to be able to create thaumatin type proteins through bioconversion. The process that we're using right now is bioconverting tobacco leaves and tobacco byproducts to get those thaumatin type proteins out. But the thaumatin that we're using now is naturally derived from camphor berry. It's about between 2 to 5,000 times sweeter than sugar.
I was just
I
gonna ask. So just a little bit, right? And it's gonna
Yeah,
sweeten it.
I would never recommend using it on its own. And it doesn't really, as a sweetener, I wouldn't say that it's effective. Like if somebody was planning on, hey, we're going to replace stevia with thaumatin, I don't think that that's your solution. Like thaumatin is interesting because it really falls into what's called a positive allosteric modulator, which means that it affects the taste buds, right? So it affects your palate, so you perceive sweet
Mhm.
more than you would without it. So these positive allosteric modulators, I mean, like thaumatin, we use them in tandem with other sweeteners, and the results can be pretty amazing. Like
Yeah.
if
So
you, hmm,
basically, what are the best practices when it comes to thaumatin and baking, right? I mean, do we have to add it with allulose or
hmm.
erythritol? What have you done?
Well, the more baking that I do, and like I said, I'm a hack when it comes to baking, but the more baking that I do, the more I kind of see like, well, you know what, you're never going to really get away from the carbs in baking. Like if you're doing real baking, because I've seen people bake with different types of flours, like almond flour and lupin beans and like every type of flour that you can imagine. But the thing is the magic's in the gluten, right? I mean, the magic is just really in the wheat. And I mean, you were so kind to connect me with Nildra,
Vanilla. Yeah.
Manildra. So you were so kind to connect me with them. And I started using their wheat protein isolate,
Hmm.
and which is amazing because they've got like three different types.
Yeah.
So if you can use those in combination, you're still going to be able to leverage the gluten that's in it. You're also elevating your proteins quite a bit, which is helpful. And whatever backfilling you need to do, you can do with fibers, but it gives you something that's really much closer to a traditional baked good. Like you're not going to make like a traditional like French baguette out
Yeah.
of this. You're just not. Like a
I mean,
baguette
in
should
terms
be,
of like people don't eat French baguette for like indulgence, right? For indulgence, we go into like cookies and you
yeah,
know snack
yeah.
bars and things like that. And definitely those applications we should be able to,
Oh,
you know.
absolutely. But I wouldn't like when working with Thaumatin, to I would use it maybe not to eliminate all of your sugar, but maybe sugar reduction. Because even if you lower your sugar, say by 30 to 50%, that's significant. And if you keep a certain amount of sugar in your in your product, you're going to be able to leverage the functionality of sugar, like having it really participate in Maillard. Like allulose participates in Maillard, but
Uh-huh.
not like sugar. Like sugar has
Right.
some serious functionality, and it
Right.
really works well with leavening. But if you can do sugar reduction and with these, with the thaumatin, and we actually have a thaumatin blend that blends like a Reb M stevia that also
Oh,
functions
interesting.
as a positive allosteric modulator. We combine that with the thaumatin, and it will enhance the level of sweetness that you get considerably just by dropping it in at about 3/4 of 1%.
Okay. So did I hear it correctly that thaumatin does participate in Maillard?
Does not.
Oh, does not.
Does
Oh,
not. No, because it's a protein-based sweetener. I mean, the fact that it's a protein-based sweetener, I haven't tried to get it to participate in my art, but there's not enough protein in it to really get it to activate with a
gotcha.
saccharide.
That's true.
Yeah, and you would
That's
have to use too much of it, and
yeah.
so it's a protein sweetener like I'm trying to think.
Aspartame.
Yeah,
Aspartame. Yeah.
aspartame, phenylalanine.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
so phenylalanine,
That's true.
it's
It doesn't.
like phenylalanine,
Yeah,
but it doesn't have the
doesn't
same
grab. That's
properties.
not enough to, yeah, to
Right.
activate. Yeah. Yeah. Um,
Exactly. So I just use it in conjunction with other stuff. Like I'll use it, a combination of a little bit of Reb M, a little bit of Thaumatin, and then I'll load it up with allulose, a little bit of erythritol to suppress the burning a little bit. But it really will enhance the sweet effect. Like it will taste sweeter to you. So you can exercise sugar reduction without losing the sweetness. You will be losing volume, but from my perspective, the volume is pretty easy to make up
yeah,
in
you just gotta
fiber.
build it back. Yeah.
You have to build it back. So you could use alternative flours, you could use fibers. I mean, if you use fibers, the benefit of using a fiber is it'll reduce your net carbs. And fibers are
You know
also
what
functional.
product I like of yours to use in terms of
Mm.
building back? It's the correct me if I'm wrong, soluble tapioca
Oh,
fiber.
the soluble tapioca
Yeah,
fiber.
either
That's one of
that
my
or the
favorite.
corn. Yeah,
Yeah, so the beauty of using a soluble tapioca fiber over a soluble corn fiber is that you won't have any grains on your label. If that's
that's
something and a lot of people
free.
avoid
Yeah.
corn.
Hmm.
Plus our soluble tapioca fiber is non-GMO if people are looking to stick to that. I mean, the one thing that I like about the soluble tapioca fiber is its gelling properties. Like it really gels well.
Yeah,
And I mean, it functions beautifully as a humectant
it's a
and
bulking. Yeah, it's a
the
great
mouth
bulking.
feel.
Yeah,
Yeah, and bulking agent. You could use that to replace the sugar that you've taken out.
that's true. So one more question about Thaumatin. Does it
Okay.
actually activate leavening?
No, no, because it's not a saccharide, it won't have any effect on browning, leavening, Maillard, anything like that. And you're going to be using it at such a small amount. So in baked goods, the usage level I recommend is 0.75 of 1%. So
Okay.
0.75 of 1%. In beverage applications, you could go as high as like maybe 1 to 1.25% of your total solution weight. But in
What
in
happens if you go over? Is there like an off taste or, you know?
um so it has a lingering effect. So what it will do is it'll take the sweetness and take some of your other flavors and really they'll linger past the point of consuming the product. So if you took way too much of it, used way too much of it, you would be tasting it for up to an hour.
Oh, wow. I
Yep.
mean, that's really not, uncharacteristic of proteins, but
Right.
that's pretty lasting. And
It is.
how do you label it? If, say, a baker were to bake it in cookies, what would it look like on a label?
You can actually label it as natural flavor.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so I mean, if you wanted to put Thalmatin on your label, you could, but you could just use it as you could just label it as a natural flavor, as long as you're using it, at under 1%.
It's grass, FDA approved.
Yep, grass, FDA approved. It's been around for a while. And
Okay.
then the bioconverted versions of Thalmatin, they're actually called Thalmatin 2 type proteins. Those are already grass. So the process is just getting it to scale.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so I think that we'll probably be able to scale that late this year.
Awesome. Awesome. And you have a short white paper automaton.
Oh
It,
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
available on
So
your website, so we'll share it on
yeah.
this particular YouTube video. So if
Yeah.
anyone who wants to learn more about automaton, download the paper and contact Tom.
Yeah. Any docs that you need. I mean, we've got full food safety docs and everything that you'd need to be able to bring it into your lab.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming on today, Tom. Learned so much about sweeteners
Thanks,
for
Lynn.
you.
I
I'll see you
appreciate it.
soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.